Jackie Robinson is a true American hero. The courage that it must have taken for him to go out at Dodger Field, at Ebbets Field, afternoon after afternoon, and take the beating that he took from opposing players, from racists in the stands, and to come up with the performance that he came up with over and over and over again. And then he translated that into things political, things sociological, if you will. I have immense admiration for Jackie Robinson.
Jackie was born in Cairo, Georgia on January 31st, 1919. His family worked on a cotton plantation in conditions not much better than when blacks were slaves in the Old South. His father abandoned the family before Jackie was 2 years old. In hopes of a better life, Jackie's mother packed up her 5 children and moved to Pasadena, California, and a house on Pepper Street. In the Hollywood version of Jackie's early life, Sandlot Baseball offered boys, white and black, an equal chance to prove their worth. Well, the movie got at least one thing right. Jackie could play.
Great bunch of infielders we got. Yeah, big leaguers.
Get me one, mister?
What do you want?
Rounders, flies, anything.
Watch this.
Baseball remained a favorite activity with Jackie, but as time passed, the Robinsons had to struggle to survive. With a paper route and other jobs, Jackie helped his mother supplement her earnings as a maid. He was no angel. He got into his share of mischief with a gang of other poor kids. His church minister inspired him to channel his energies into sports where he excelled. But in the climate of his youth, Jackie Robinson did not see sports as his ticket to getting ahead.
Our subject today, as chosen by our Board of Selection.
At a time when the black community expressed pride in its superstars, the most young Robinson hoped for was a job helping youngsters or coaching.
Our guest today is that great figure in the world of sports, the only man to hold 5 world's records in track at one time, Jesse Owens. Jesse, what do you remember as the greatest sports triumph of your career?
Well, Mr. Barnett, I think it came in 1936 when I won 4 events in the Olympic Games in Berlin.
The Games, hosted by Hitler's Third Reich, were supposed to showcase white supremacy. Owens' 4 gold medals shot holes in that theory. Less well known was the achievement of Jackie Robinson's brother Mac in winning a silver medal in the 200-meter dash. Jackie was proud of his brother, but on Mac's homecoming, he found out success had its limits if he were black.
My brother ran second to Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympic Games. But because Negroes were protesting against discrimination in Pasadena, California back in 1936, his return to Pasadena, he found that they had fired him because other Negroes were protesting. So all these guys who are saying that we've got it made through athletics, it's just not so. You as an individual can make it, but I think we've got to concern ourselves with the masses of the people, not by what happens as an individual. So I really tell these youngsters when I go out, certainly I've had opportunities that they haven't had, but because I've had these opportunities doesn't mean that I've forgotten.
The Harlem Globetrotters were the most famous black professional team in sports in that era. They were the NBA, the only act in town if you were a talented black basketball player with the gift of showmanship. In baseball, the Negro Leagues put thousands of black athletes in uniform and tens of thousands of fans in the stands. In the 1930s, the Negro Leagues actually were the largest black-owned business in America. It was not baseball, but football that won Jackie Robinson a scholarship to UCLA, and there he met the woman who became the most important person in his life.
We had to drive to UCLA. None of us could afford to live on campus, so we lived at home and drove every day. And I would wait till I see his car pull into the parking lot, and my car sort of would get pulled into the parking lot at the same time. And we'd have these chance meetings, and it was that kind of thing that my way of conveying to him that I wasn't just interested in an athlete. And obviously he was interested in me because he made these meetings more possible and began to ask me out on dates. He kept talking about not being too involved until he got out of sports, out of university, because he wanted to be loved for himself.
Jackie was UCLA's first four-letter man. He played baseball and basketball, ran and jumped in track, and totally dominated on the football field. He led the country in rushing in 1939 with a 12-yard average. He ranked second in total offense in the Pacific Conference in 1940. Showing the aggressive running style that would be his trademark on the baseball diamond, Jackie Robinson was a hard man to stop in any league. Jackie went to Hawaii in 1941 to work in construction, quitting what he called his academic and athletic dream world. He was on a ship returning home when news came of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The dream world he and the U.S. had been living in was over. In the wave of patriotism that swept the nation, recruiting sergeants suddenly had the easiest job in the Army. Prominent athletes like Joe DiMaggio put away their bats and gloves for more demanding duties. When the heavyweight champ enlisted, we knew we had a fight on our hands. Joe Louis's induction called attention to the fact that whites and blacks were assigned to separate units in the military. The restrictions placed on black servicemen was something Jackie Robinson could not tolerate, and once he even had to fend off a court-martial to prove his point.
Jack was made morale officer just because Jack made a lot of fuss about everything, things that he felt were unjust and shouldn't be. And so to keep him quiet, I think, the Army made him morale officer. And he had to represent the black soldiers. And they started with the canteen, where they had a limited number of seats for blacks, and they often had to stand and often had to wait while there were seats available on the white side and so on. And he and Joe Louis teamed up to deal with the Army brass about this, and Jack had never, when he loved Joe Louis in the earlier days, it never occurred to him that the day would come when they'd be walking, shoulder to shoulder and fighting this battle on the Army grounds together.
After the Army, Jackie signed up to play with the Kansas City Monarchs. Black baseball was unknown to most of white America, but it had many loyal fans who admired its lively style of play and depth of talent.
I had a cousin who he played in the Negro Leagues. His name was Bob Evans, and he was a pitcher. And he had one eye. And I said, I couldn't appreciate what that really meant for a fastballer with one eye to be throwing at somebody. But he knew Jackie Robinson, and he knew Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson, and I used to hear all of these stories, but he never spoke that much about Jackie Robinson. Jackie was an excellent ball player, but when you compared him with people like Raymond Dandridge and Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige, he wasn't measuring.
Top Negro leaguers like Monty Irvin and Larry Doby came under consideration by some major league teams in the post-war years, as did that ageless wonder, the pitcher Satchel Paige. Robinson's talents on and off the field are what intrigued the Brooklyn Dodgers, even as they quietly scouted catcher Roy Campanella and the powerful young pitcher Don Newcomb. Meanwhile, the grueling Negro League schedule was teaching Jackie all about life's limitations if you happen to be a black man traveling in America.
Who's going in?
New boy's turn. Rules and regulations, new boy always goes first.
I guess that means you, Jackie.
What will I have to do?
3 things. See if we can eat inside. 2, see if we can wash up. 3, if we can't eat inside, see if they'll fix up sandwiches.
Robinson was educated, articulate, highly moral, a college All-American with an honorable discharge as an Army officer. All of these traits would make him an ideal candidate to integrate Major League Baseball if he could keep his pride and his temper in check.
Yeah, what is it? 16 of us outside in a bus. How's chances of getting something to eat?
Well, I'm all alone here. Afraid I couldn't help you.
How about some sandwiches? Could we have sandwiches?
Branch Rickey ran the Brooklyn Dodgers like a benevolent king, wise under his gruff exterior. He believed in equal treatment for blacks, but he also knew they could help him win baseball games. When he summoned Robinson to New York to join his top farm team and not some all-black team, Rickey had his strategy for Jackie all worked out.
He was everything that I had hoped he would be at that moment. The surprise of that whole occasion was Robinson. I couldn't convince him that I was giving him this interview and considering him for a job on the white team, the Brooklyn Dodgers. I had to give him an actual picture, by voice, by gesture, but by every means I had to have him realize what he was in front of and what he was about to agree to. He had to know that he would be called these names and his mother would be attacked and his ancestry, as I put it. Well, I asked him what he would do. I'd kill him. It was the very resentment that I wanted, and yet he had to realize that he must be able to handle himself under those dire conditions. And there was finally an agreement that for 3 years he would undertake to turn the other cheek, and we defined what that meant in actual field play.
Jack called me to say that he wasn't being scouted for the Brown Bombers, which was the story he was told when he was brought to Mr. Rickey, but actually he was being scouted for the major leagues. What it meant to us at the time was he had a job. It didn't mean that he had a mission. And it was a long time before we really could make that distinction and see how really big a thing this was.
Jackie's 1946 season with the Montreal Royals of the International League was his dress rehearsal for the historic year to come. Montreal was a cosmopolitan city, accepting of his presence on the previously all-white squad. But in Jackie's own country, there were many baseball parks where his presence would come as a shock. Still, Robinson managed to lead the league in hitting and fielding and to lead the Royals to a championship. The first stage of the Rickey Robinson plan was now complete.
You couldn't think of Jackie Robinson without Branch Rickey, because they understood that he was a pioneer, and an incredible amount of self-discipline was involved. I still get upset with these kids showboating in the end zone or throwing temper tantrums on the tennis court. Sport is a way to demonstrate a certain sense of fair play and gentlemanliness. You never gloat over your opponent after you beat him. And Jackie Robinson symbolized to me the gentleman athlete. The man who not only achieved in every way, but who exemplified it in almost every aspect of his character.
In the spring of 1947, baseball came to Brooklyn with more than the usual fanfare and anticipation. On this historic opening day, April 15th, the Dodgers were hosting the Boston Braves. Jackie Robinson took the field, and a black man finally gained his rightful place in America's most popular sport. For Jackie, it was a personal victory that he would have to go out and re-win day after day for the 6 months of a baseball season. He had promised not to respond to racial slurs, insults, or physical threats, but to endure them in silence. Some players even threatened to boycott games. But there were others, like teammate Pee Wee Reese, who befriended Jackie. The shortstop and the second baseman were a magnificent double-play combination on and off the field.
And I think it was Pee Wee Reese whose strength was, quite good. Dixie wanted to know, how can you, a Southerner, not participate in this so-called boycott? But Pee Wee, from the outset, felt that if I were the only white guy trying to break into all black league, I'd want somebody to be my friend. And he says, if Jackie Robinson has the ability and he can make it, that's all I'm going to ask.
We went to New York to see Jackie play. They were playing the St. Louis Cardinals, my favorite team.
And, I was just a Cardinal nut. This Terry Moore and Stan Musial and Whitey Kurowski and Enos Country Slaughter. Well, I thought they were just great ball players. The game that I happened to see was the game that Jackie was playing first base. And as Slaughter lined out, or hit a grounded out, and was thrown out, he spiked Robinson across the back of his leg. Now, up to that point, I had been rooting for St. Louis. Brooklyn fans, as you know, they were playing at Ebbets Field during the time. They were rabid. They forgave me because I was so young, but my friends were saying, these people are ready to throw you down here rooting for St. Louis. This is Dodger Town. Well, when Robinson was spiked by Slaughter, and it was intentional, all of the Dodger players came rushing to Robinson's aid. The Cardinal players defensively went to the batting rack to draw bats. That's how confrontational it was. Peace was restored. Robinson never said a word.
I think that because baseball had been defined as the all-American sport, which means it should mean it includes everything and everybody, that Jack's entry into the baseball arena and the reactions to him, the fact that he evoked the kind of open, blatant, racist talk, actions, threats, alerted America to the fact that discrimination was very pervasive. It was not limited to a few bigots in the South. It was in North and South. It was an undercurrent, an underpinning of our society, and that it was creating an atmosphere in which many people did not have opportunities.
For Brooklyn Dodger fans, the next decade would be known as the Jackie Robinson years, and they were glory years for the team as it won 6 National League pennants and 1 World Series. Beyond baseball, Robinson's bold and dignified example was an inspiration to all blacks and an object lesson to skeptical whites. He was named 1947's Rookie of the Year, and his achievement impressed all Americans, not just sports fans. It only cost a nickel in that year to follow the Subway Series between the Dodgers in Brooklyn and the New York Yankees in the Bronx. The Yankees would hold off Brooklyn's famous Bums Rush and win the series, but this event had significance beyond scores and statistics. It was our first World Series with a black player in it. Brotherhood prevailed in the locker room, as it usually does after a winning season, but when the only black player began receiving batting tips from teammates who once threatened to boycott him, people knew times were changing. Fans with series fever also knew by now that it was never a good idea to give Jackie Robinson a base on balls, because once on first, he'd be sure to steal second.
I remember the story that people used to tell about Jackie Robinson, about the lady who heard that the Brooklyn Dodgers were integrated and took her box of chicken out to the bleachers in Ebbets Field, and Jackie Robinson was walked and got on first base, and the next thing you know, he was stealing second, and she got up and packed up her chicken, and she said, we just got here and we done started stealing already.
The Robinson family grew in more than one way in 1947 with the birth of a son. Jackie Jr. was the first of 3 children the young parents would have. In looking for a home for their family, Jackie and Rachel were refused numerous properties in the greater New York area. They finally were able to build their dream house in suburban Connecticut. The negative real estate experience only strengthened Jackie's resolve and acceptance of his mission. By now, the Robinsons were the most publicized black couple in America, and at times they felt the weight of the entire race on their shoulders. But Jackie handled tough questions on any subject the way he played baseball, forcefully.
I've been asked to express my views on Paul Robeson's statements in Paris to the effect that American Negroes would refuse to fight in any war against Russia because we love Russia so much. I haven't any comment to make except that in any event of war with Russia, Negroes and Italians and Irish and Jews and Swedes and Slavs and other Americans would act just as all these groups did in the last war. They'd do their best to keep their country out of war. If unsuccessful, they'd do their best to help their country win the war against Russia or any other enemy that threatened us.
By 1949, Branch Rickey was so pleased with his noble experiment in integration that he expanded it, building the Dodgers into one of the best teams in baseball. He recruited Dan Bankhead to become the first black pitcher in the majors. The most important additions were Don Newcomb and Roy Campanella. Along with Robinson, they became the heart and soul of the Brooklyn lineup. The series this year brought Dodgers and Yankees together yet again. New York teams dominated baseball in this period before the major leagues expanded west of the Mississippi. And facing the Yankee dynasty year after year, Brooklyn fans learned what it was like to be always the bridesmaid. Joe DiMaggio was the quintessential Yankee from 1936 to 1951. When a pitcher like Newcomb, a 27-game winner, was on the mound, it made for a classic duel of strength against strength. And as more and more Americans watched blacks compete on an equal footing with players like the Yankee Clipper, old assumptions and prejudices were shaken. In the off-season, Jackie went to Hollywood to star in a movie based on his own life, with Ruby Dee playing the role of Rachel. It was a low-budget production, but for an amateur actor, Jackie did a creditable job. The Black Cat episode in the movie personified the abuse Jackie put up with in breaking into the majors.
Hey there, big boy. What you all doing on a white man's field?
You better get your carcass out of there before you get rode out.
Here's a brother of yours, Jackie. Why don't you take him along? He wants to get into baseball, too.
All the racial insults and innuendos portrayed in the movie were based on incidents that happened to Jackie. Robinson handled the ordeal as he and Branch Rickey planned, by turning the other cheek and letting his bat do the talking. Still, the experience revealed the ugly nature of bigoted attacks on any minority.
Hey, Jackie! Give me a shine! Hey, Sambo, do you want to wash your dirty ears? Oh, liver lips. Got them pearly teeth. Hey, Jackie, where'd you get that Marcel? Maxville back cleanup?
No one could understand Robinson's ordeal during those first years, or his triumph, better than his fellow blacks.
We all wanted to be like him. We all wanted to play second base. We wanted to wear number 42. There were some guys I remember even took to affecting his pigeon-toed walk, thinking it would make them faster or accelerate their baseball progress.
He was so good-looking. And I was so young and and available. And he was so brilliant as an athlete. And when he spoke, he wasn't shy about speaking. What he said made sense. I was so proud of him. And like most of the black girls I knew, we were all a little in love. And older women, everybody was a little in love with Jackie Robinson.
Prominent in juvenile work.
Outside of baseball, Jackie worked to foster better race relations, optimistic that progress was being made.
You know, I'm proud to be doing my bit for the Brotherhood movement. and I'm glad that I can report from my own personal experiences on the baseball diamond that the feeling of intolerance no longer exists. The Brotherhood movement is gaining ground every day. It is slowly and surely becoming a fact and not remaining just a theory.
Walter O'Malley replaced Branch Rickey in the Dodger organization in 1950, and Jackie lost a good friend in the front office. On the field, he was in the prime of his career. The 1952 World Series started auspiciously for the Dodgers as Jackie hit one of his patented line drive home runs. But that year's American League sensation was a 20-year-old from Oklahoma who would become the greatest switch hitter in baseball history. Mickey Mantle had the last laugh on Jackie at the plate, and as it turned out, on the field as well.
He came to our clubhouse and came around and shook hands with everybody, and I thought that was really something, because it would have really, you'd have had to put a gun to my head to make me go to the visiting clubhouse of the team that beat me and shake hands with them and tell them that they did a good job. He even said to me, he said, "Son, you're going to be a hell of a ball player someday," and I never will forget it. He could hit a home run. He could take an extra base. One of the biggest thrills I ever had in my life. You always have a meeting before the World Series. And in the meeting, Casey Stengel says, "Well, you know what you do?" So Jackie Robinson, when he hits a ball, especially like to right field, he'll come around first base so far that you think you can pick him off. And when you throw the ball to first base, he just walks into second. So we already know that, right? So me and Billy Martin get together, and I said, if he hits a line drive to right center, I'm going to fake it to first and throw it to you. And sure enough, Jackie come running around first base, and I act like I was going to throw to first, and he goes on to second. Well, I didn't have to throw a really great. I'm only 40 feet, I guess, from Billy. I just tossed it to Billy, and of course Billy tagged him out, and that was one of the biggest thrills I ever had in my life.
Jackie had been old for a rookie, joining the Dodgers at age 28, and time and stress wore visibly on him as he prepared for the 1955 World Series. He remained the team's spark plug, giving 100% at the plate, in the field, and most memorably on the base paths. This year, it would pay off with a World Championship at last. Setting the stage in the opening game, Jackie decided to steal home on Yankee pitcher Whitey Ford. This was a specialty of Robinson's, one of baseball's most daring plays, and a nightmare for catcher Yogi Berra. The Dodgers and the Yankees made it to the series again the following year, but 1956 would be Jackie's final season in baseball. He could look back on a 10-year career, 6 as an All-Star, and an impressive lifetime batting average of .311. In his playing days, 13 of the 16 Major League teams added black players to their rosters, and by 1959, the formal desegregation of Major and Minor League Baseball was complete. Meanwhile, other pro sports, taking their cue from the historic changes Jackie had initiated, were opening their doors, too. The Yankees won the last baseball game Jackie ever played, but Robinson and America walked off the field that year a big winner.
Could you sum it up in just a couple of words for us? What's the only thing I can say? The Yankees are world champions.
I don't know what I'm laughing about, to tell you the truth, but the Yogi here, the way I feel about it, had it not been for him, Nuke probably would have been in there a little longer, because he certainly was throwing as well as I've ever seen him throw. And this guy here, to me, is just as fine a clutch hitter as I've ever seen in the game today of baseball. He does a tremendous job.
What's your reaction to this, Yogi? Well, I was very thrilled, but, with these Brooklyn Dodgers, that 5-run wasn't even safe. I was glad when Scarron hit that home run with the bases loaded.
The postseason trip to baseball-crazy Japan by the Dodgers in 1956 was all hearts and flowers on the surface, but tough business decisions were being made that would affect Jackie and relocate the team that had become a Brooklyn institution. By the time the Dodgers' move to California was official, Jackie decided to call it quits, rejecting a plan to trade him to the Giants.
Well, this is certainly a permanent decision. I am not going to come back to baseball as much as I love the game and as much as I appreciate what it has done for me, but I think my future now is in another field.
What's the real reason you're giving up baseball?
Well, because I'm 38 and I don't think that my future is too bright in baseball. I think that I've just about run the gamut as a baseball player can do it at this particular age, and I'm not going to stick around and be a fellow that's kicked around from pillar to post.
Jackie left baseball as he came into it, with his head high and lots of plans for the future. He accepted the first of several executive jobs in the private sector. As vice president of a restaurant chain for 7 years, he built national recognition for its brand of coffee. He helped to organize Freedom National Bank to foster economic self-sufficiency in black neighborhoods. Drawn to politics as a means for effecting social change, Jackie decided to back Richard Nixon for president in 1960. He later regretted that move, citing Nixon's failure to support Martin Luther King, but stubbornly stayed in his campaign to the end. At the time, he thought he had no real alternative.
President Kennedy asked Jack to come have breakfast with him before he actually began to campaign. And Jack decided against campaigning for him because he said Kennedy never looked him in the eye.
A man's character always came first with Robinson, whether in baseball, business, or politics. For his part, he only knew one way to speak, and black audiences especially responded to his honesty. With Jackie Jr. at his side and fellow activists like Harry Belafonte, Jackie lent his support to the civil rights movement he had pioneered. He was still his own man, but he recognized Dr. King as this time's spiritual leader. Jackie traveled widely for all the causes he believed in: better job opportunities and better housing for the poor, and to put what he felt was democracy's secret weapon into the hands of more blacks, the ballot.
Well, we hope to get some more people down to vote because we think this is the answer. I don't care what field we're in. If we get more and more people registered to vote, we can solve many of the problems that we're facing in this country.
This is Brotherhood Week. Let's make it a time that will help every American to make every week Brotherhood Week.
I learned about brotherhood playing football for UCLA and baseball for the Brooklyn Dodgers. That's the great thing about athletics. You learn to act democracy, not just talk it. It's what a man can do that counts, not his religion or his race or from what country his parents come. Fair play of this kind is wiping out what the communists are thinking and saying about us.
The shocking assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King caused Robinson to become disillusioned with American society. And who could blame any black who lost hope at that moment in our history? For the Robinson family, Dr. King's death came at a time of deep personal trauma.
We were willing to follow him anywhere, anytime. And we did march with him, and we did raise money for his cause and that kind of thing. He was assassinated and buried the same year that my son was arrested, so that the pain in our family, and this is where the public and private side of a public person's life, they collide, in our family was enormous, both personally and in a public sense, because we lost Martin and we're losing Jackie at the same time.
Jackie and Rachel lost their oldest son, first to drug addiction in Vietnam, and then after Jackie Jr. battled through rehabilitation to good health and a productive life again, he was killed in a car accident. The war that divided America so bitterly had hurt people in many ways.
I will never disclose that final morning and what happened between Jackie and Rachel. But I do remember the two of them saying to me, If only we hadn't named him Jackie Jr. And there are the memories for me always of Bridge over Troubled Waters. The music that was played at Jackie Jr.'s funeral. And how Jackie Jr., who had beaten drugs, he had become an addict in Vietnam. And Jackie would say, Howard, he has to walk the way they all do who've been in Vietnam, close to the wall. There is protection there for a veteran from Vietnam.
Jackie's faith in political answers revived when he went to work for New York Governor Nelson B. Rockefeller.
All those years I was meeting everyone else along the way, I had never had an opportunity to meet Jackie Robinson. And then in California, I was waiting in a studio to interview Nelson Rockefeller for a political campaign, and the Secret Service was in there. I was a relatively young reporter, and I was the center of all of this attention. The national press came in, and they asked me what I was going to talk to them about, and I said I thought I was going to be fairly tough on him on a couple of these issues and so on. So there was a certain anticipation about this interview that I was doing with Nelson Rockefeller. And the doors opened, and Nelson Rockefeller came into the room with that big smile on his face and his hand outstretched, and behind him was his friend on this campaign, Jackie Robinson, who I was seeing in person for the first time in my life. Even though I'd been to Ebbets Field, it was after he'd played. I went right through 3 Secret Service agents, past Nelson Rockefeller. I was again 10 years old in my life. I did everything but get down on my knees. I was pumping his hand so hard, saying, I've waited all my life to meet you. I know everything there is to know about you. There's so many questions that I have for you. I had transported myself into another space of some kind. It had nothing to do with the reason that I was there. He was plainly embarrassed, and after about 30 seconds, when my consciousness returned, I was embarrassed as well. But I will be eternally grateful for the fact that I got to shake his hand at some point.
Robinson served as special assistant to Rockefeller until the 1968 Republican Convention. There, Rocky and his agenda were shunted aside by the party's more conservative wing. Independent to the end, Robinson switched his support from Nixon to the Democrats, and after the election, he did not mince words about his disappointment in the winner.
When he took the oath of office, he pledged to be the president for 100% of the people. And I challenge the president to prove that he is being the president for 100% of the people. Maybe 90%, perhaps even 90.1%, because every once in a while he has a party at Washington and he invites Negroes up to the party.
Robinson was only 53 when he died on October 24th, 1972.
He was not a martyr. He was a pioneer. He had a virulent disease. I mean, a really virulent disease. Now, of course, we know that stress exacerbates diabetes, and there's a possibility that it made it a more destructive form of diabetes. But I don't, either I don't choose to believe he was a martyr or that it shortened his life, or I understand that there were balancing forces. He was, you see, he suffered a great deal, and yet he had an extraordinarily happy life. I mean, a really exciting life. So there was a good deal of balance in that.
In 1981, with an old Dodger friend on hand, Jackie's college alma mater dedicated its stadium to the memory of the man who brought so much excitement and honor to the field. In his own lifetime, Jackie's election to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962 was the one ceremonial fuss he cherished. His mother was there in Cooperstown to enjoy the day with him. As always, so was his beloved wife, Rachel, who had begun her own career as a psychiatric nurse. And there was a crusty old gent from Ohio who knew a lot about baseball in the old days and about people. In the end, Jackie sounded like an optimist about the future after all.
Well, this is certainly one of the greatest days of my life. I'm thrilled and happy about it. I'm happy because so many other people are happy. Mr. Rickey, I talked with him, and he was thrilled. My mother was thrilled. And I've never seen my wife so elated. And the many telegrams and the calls, we were up all night last night answering them, and it just made us feel wonderful.
What about the significance of being the first Negro to be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I hope that it serves a purpose, because there are a number of us who
look back at our careers and we can become discouraged. And I think it may inspire many of our people to recognize that a little extra hard work, a little effort, perhaps they too can be rewarded.
Mrs. Jackie Robinson will accept for her late husband, Mr. Jackie.
Jackie was awarded the nation's highest civilian honor, the Medal of Freedom, in 1986. It summed up the remarkable achievement of his life.
As an individual of courage and conviction, and as a skilled and dedicated athlete, Jackie Robinson stood tall among his peers. His courage opened the door of professional sports to all Americans when in 1947 he became the first black baseball player in the major leagues. He bravely demonstrated to all that skill and sportsmanship, not race or ethnic background, are the qualities by which athletes should be judged. In doing so, he struck a mighty blow for equality, freedom, and the American way of life. Jackie Robinson was a good citizen, a great man, and a true American champion.